There are no barriers anymore, no roadblocks to your creativity, because now you can take any starting image and use free AI tools to create endless camera angles from it, meaning telling your story has never been easier. I'm Jack, I've been a VFX artist in the advertising industry for over a decade now, working with many of the biggest brands on the planet. And in today's video, I'll show you how you can use tools like Nano Banana and Seedream 4.0 to turn a single starting frame into an entire movie. We'll explore a variety of camera angles and movements and explore their uses from a storytelling perspective. What's their function in furthering the plot and how do they make the viewer feel? You'll come away with clear text prompts as well as an understanding that will instantly level up your AI filmmaking. And if you do enjoy today's video, guys, make sure to whack a like on there for me, consider subscribing, and of course, ring that bell notification icon. With that being said, let's get straight into the video. So let me introduce you guys to our character. We're gonna call her Kara. Now, Kara was generated using Midjourney, which is of course a paid service. However, I'm going to put some examples on screen to show you that you can create some pretty amazing starting images using Nano Banana for completely free as well. Just this time, I wanted to go down the Midjourney route. Now, I really want to stress the importance of locking down your starting image in terms of having a character, a setting, a style, any clothing, or even props that you really like. You need to be completely happy with this first image, which we'll call our kind of master shot, because it's going to influence everything that comes after it. When you look at the starting image, it needs to tick all of your boxes, because if you're not happy with this, you won't be happy with anything that follows it. And with that being said, we can talk about our first camera angle, which you can see on screen right now. This, technically speaking, is a close-up and it's at eye level. And that means that we're establishing this hierarchy between the viewer and the subject, who is Kara. And because we're on eye level with Kara, the hierarchy feels neutral. We don't feel more dominant than her, but we also don't feel intimidated by her either. We're not at odds with each other. And that almost feels like, as a viewer, you're almost having a conversation with the character that you're witnessing. So everything feels very natural, and this is a great shot to illustrate some kind of dialogue or reaction. And I'll be sure to put the text prompt I used for this up on the screen right now if you did want to go ahead and take a note of it. I'm going to try to put as many text prompts as I can down below in the description. I'm not too sure if there's like a maximum character count for YouTube descriptions, but you guys can have a look down there and find out for yourselves, I guess. But the key thing is we now have our master shot, which clearly tells us a lot about the character. There's lots of detail in her clothing, in her skin texture. And even though the background is very soft focus, we do have some kind of understanding as to where our scene is being set. So we're now ready to take this first frame and branch it off into an entire story and explore all sorts of interesting camera angles. So I promised you guys I would show you how to access these tools for free, and we're going to be using Nano Banana within LM Arena. So to go here, just type into your search bar lmarena.ai. At the top left-hand corner, we want to click this drop-down menu and select Direct Chat. And in the center of the screen, you want to click Generate Images, and you can see it's going to load up Gemini 2.5 Flash Image Preview, otherwise known as Nano Banana. And to be clear, accessing Nano Banana through LM Arena is completely free of charge. You also won't get a watermark on the bottom right-hand corner like you will get if you use Gemini itself. There is a limit to the amount of images you're able to create per day, so do keep that in mind, but I really do think this tool is amazing if you're just getting to grips with generative AI, if you're learning from scratch. And towards the end of the video, I'm also going to show you a way that you can animate your AI videos for completely free as well, so be sure to stay tuned for that. So let's go ahead and create our first new camera angle. So what we want to do is click the upload image icon and we can drop in our master shot of Kara. So the first shot that we're going to go ahead and create is a slightly tighter close-up. So in the text prompt field, we've written a cinematic shot tightly framing the character's face, showing detailed emotional expression. The girl looks scared. Now, a general rule of thumb when it comes to filmmaking, how physically close we are to a character kind of reflects how emotionally close we feel and opens up their vulnerabilities. So essentially, the more extreme the close-up, the more emotion we're going to be able to read on Kara's face, and the more vulnerable she's going to appear, and the closer as a viewer we will feel to her. So let's go ahead and generate this and see what Nano Banana gives us back. So you can see with this first generation, the framing is just slightly tighter, and you can already feel that emotional intensity that little bit more, but we're going to take it to the extreme now. We'll re-upload our starting image, and we're going to put in the text prompt field, extreme close-up, tightly framing the character's face, showing detailed emotional expression. And here you can see we've moved in even closer, and it really is starting to amplify that emotional intensity, especially when we compare it to our starting frame. We've gone from all the way back here right the way close to Kara. And as a result, we can kind of read and feel her emotions a lot more clearly. So this is perfect if we want to show some kind of emotional reaction to something that Kara is seeing or hearing. If something dramatic is happening in our film, we always need to see that reflected in the key characters. They need to react to it because they're our point of reference as a viewer. They're the ones that we relate to. And if we want to go ahead and take this even further to the complete extreme, we can go for a macro shot. So I'll put that text prompt up on screen now so you guys can take a little note of that. And let's go ahead and click generate and see what we get back from Nano Banana. And look at this, exactly what we're after. Look at this level of textural detail that Nano Banana has been able to give us, and it feels consistent with our character and our chosen style as well. So just imagine the emotional response we could get from a viewer by cutting from this shot here to this one. We're using an intense camera angle to solicit an intense emotional response. And keep in mind that we've generated these fresh new camera angles without spending a penny. And if we do like what we've created, we could just go ahead here to this little download icon and click download. Now opening this up, you're going to be able to see the downside to using Nano Banana, and that's that it outputs at quite a low resolution. If we just go into the file's properties and go to details, we can see that the dimensions are 1344 by 768. So this is a fair amount lower than even HD resolution. Something that I tend to do a lot, however, is if we head to Higgsfield and go to the image tab, you can see there's the option here for Topaz high resolution upscaler. So what we could do is simply drag and drop on our Nano Banana output. We can use Topaz, for example, in its default mode to simply double the resolution of the image. Or we can use Topaz Generative, where it's actually going to add in extra texture for us. Now, of course, you would have to pay for your Higgsfield membership to access this, but I did just want to put that in there for you guys. Now, moving on to the next camera angle, we've re-uploaded our master shot, and we're going to be taking a look at a high angle camera shot. Once again, I'll throw the text prompt up on screen for you guys now, but this is all about making the character feel intimidated. We feel like the dominant force here. This is all about emphasizing weakness and vulnerability as if our character is on the back foot. So let's go right ahead and click generate on this particular text prompt. And here we have back our high angle camera shot. We spoke earlier about this concept of hierarchy, and here we are the imposing dominant force, and Kara looks scared of us, or whatever character or scene she might be witnessing at this moment. I encourage you guys as well to hit the download button as soon as you see something that you like, but also why not give it a rerun as well by hitting that retry button. And unfortunately, we've hit the other issue with Ella Marina. That's that we've reached our rate limit for Gemini 2.5 Flash image preview. So now we're going to switch back over to Higgsfield, but I still wanted to show you guys a free way to be able to play around with this workflow. And we did get some really nice results here. This high angle shot I was happy with, to be fair, and this macro shot looks insane. So on Higgsfield.ai, we just go to the top left-hand corner, hover over the image tab and go to create image. So here what we want to do is go ahead and upload our master shot once again. The exact same process we've been doing on Ella Marina. There are various different image creation models that we can select, including Higgsfield's own Soul model. We've also got access to Seedream 4.0, but here we're going to select Nano Banana. And you can see at the bottom here, we also have the option for unlimited generations, and that's because on on Higgsfield, if you have a Pro, Ultimate or Creator plan, you can use Nano Banana as much as you want without spending credits. So again, this is really great if you're just learning generative AI for the first time. You can do a whole bunch of experimentation here. And the next camera angle we're going to be looking at is a low angle shot. And what I'm going to do for you guys is create a point of comparison here. So I'm going to click to create 2 Nano Banana generations, and then we're going to switch over to Seedream 4.0 because I'm sure you guys will be interested in that tool as well. Once again, we can select unlimited, and I'm just going to click twice so that we've got 4 generations ready to come in to take a look at. Now, interestingly, you can see that Nano Banana actually failed with this prompt, even though it was very clearly written, but Seedream 4.0 has given us a pretty impressive result here. So how does this particular camera angle make us feel? Well, to me, it makes Kara appear a lot more intimidating, powerful, and heroic as well. It's as if she's reacting to something off camera, but she doesn't feel threatened by that thing. She feels in control, as if maybe she's about to retaliate in some way. All of this just comes from her reaction paired with the camera angle that we've carefully chosen. And so when you're crafting your AI films, you always want to be thinking about which camera angle is going to best illustrate the mood that you're trying to create. How do you want your viewer to feel about your character in that moment? Now, the next camera angle we're going to be looking at is an over-the-shoulder camera angle. This is really useful in terms of framing and creating an idea of perspective. It's like almost a point of view shot, but not entirely either. So we also get this idea of scale, and you can use it like we're going to do here to show off the landscape that Kara is looking at, but equally, you could also use it during a conversation between her and another character. So let's repeat the same process again. We're going to compare Nano Banana to Seedream 4.0 by setting up 2 Nano Banana generations and 2 Seedream generations as well. And you can see this time around, both Nano Banana and Seedream both gave us some really great results. I haven't got any issues with any of these generations. This one looks really great. I'm particularly drawn to this one from Seedream because you really get a feel for that kind of shaved head texture on the back of Kara's head. And what we see here as well is that Kara is in soft focus and the desert landscape itself is sharp. So maybe we could use this shot to show some kind of monster emerging from beneath the sand. You can imagine then we could easily cut back to our macro shot. So I'm actually going to go ahead and get this one here downloaded as well as this one. Those are my 2 favorites. You can feel already that we're really starting to flesh out our scene. Even though nothing is happening, Kara is just stood in the middle of this white desert, but we're telling a story through kind of emotional response by using these different camera angles. Just briefly stepping away from the tutorial, guys, to say a big thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Opus Clip. What I personally didn't know about was the amount of features you get on the free plan. So this includes 60 processing minutes per month, the option to add AI captions with emojis to your clips, and you're even able to import your videos from YouTube as well as your local files. So here we are over on the dashboard. We can just go ahead and drop a link in this section here to one of my YouTube videos. And Opus is going to convert my long form video into clips perfect for social media. We can pick the model that we want to use. I think I'm going to go for Clip Anything, which is their smartest model. And then if we scroll down, we can pick our caption style that we like, as well as the aspect ratio of the clips we want. Just got an email through now to say that my clips are ready. So we can go ahead and click into this area, and you can see we've got a whole load of different options here, all of which have been scored out of 100. And this is how likely each clip is to perform on social media. And we're able to go ahead and open up each clip if we want to edit them individually by clicking this tab here. Going over to the right hand side, we can see we've got the option to even add B-roll to our clips, and there is a specific option for generating AI B-roll. For instance, at this point of the video, we are discussing AI filmmaking, and it's gone ahead and put in a relevant clip of this kind of editing studio, or maybe on the sidelines of an active film shoot. So you can see that Opus has become a lot more than just a simple clipping tool, and feels more like an all-in-one AI video editor with a bunch of free features. If you do want to go ahead and check them out, be sure to click the link down below in the description. Okay, back to our tutorial. Now the next shot we're going to go for is a 2-shot, and as the name suggests, we're going to be able to see 2 different characters occupying the frame. And just to illustrate this better, I want to put a new character into the scene here, and it's going to be interesting to see how both Nano Banana and Seedream deal with this text prompt, because it's going to be a bit of a challenge. So let's set off our 2 Nano Banana generations, as well as our 2 Seedream generations as well. And you can see once again, we've got back some really incredible results from both of these AI image tools. The new character that we've had added into this scene feels like they belong there. So here's Nano Banana's first generation and Nano Banana's second generation. Nothing feels out of place. Kara still feels nice and consistent. And I really love the Seedream generations as well. I will say that this one here, the skin texture on Kara feels a little bit waxy. But this shot here, how they're kind of imperfectly framed, looks amazing. And the textural details on our new character as well as Kara feel very photoreal. Only issue I would say is that this old man must be down on his knees, because he wouldn't be the same height as Kara because she's a young girl, but never mind. This one here makes a little bit more sense in terms of the height difference. Maybe the guy's just a bit short. This generation here, we get a lot more of a feel that Kara is young and this man next to her is a lot more mature. And again, we're kind of illustrating that feeling of hierarchy as well. It feels like he is more in charge. Just love the fact that their clothing is so similar. So I think we'll go ahead and download this one here as well as this one. And this next camera angle here is a pretty interesting one. It's what's known as a Dutch angle. And as a viewer, this just makes you feel a little bit off kilter. You feel kind of out of control, and it gives this feeling of chaos as well. And once again, some really great results here. I love this second generation from Nano Banana. It's actually making Kara look a little bit unhinged, like she's about to do something kind of crazy. And I'm getting a similar vibe from the first Seedream generation as well. And actually, as a viewer, we feel slightly intimidated by this. Really interesting camera angle that you don't actually hear spoken about all that much. Next camera angle we're going to be looking at now is a wide shot where we see the character in full head to toe. They are completely filling the frame. So this of course gives us a feel of the environment itself, but also our character completely. And keep in mind that both Seedream and Nano Banana do not have this information of what Kara is wearing beneath kind of this level. Okay, some interesting results here. The first Seedream generation actually failed and was branded as sensitive content. Don't quite understand that, because the second Seedream animation worked, but didn't give us exactly what we were after. However, Nano Banana has outdone itself here. Really what it's given us is the same shot twice with a slight variation of clothing for Kara, and I think I prefer this first generation here. So now we get an idea for her entire outfit, and she's looking pretty cool. Straight away, I'm gonna go ahead and get that downloaded. And I like to leave little issues like this in my videos, guys, so you can see the reality of using generative AI. You don't often get the results you want firsthand. Sometimes things go wrong, and it is a case of trial and error. Now, because we're gonna move on to some much wider shots now, I think it's gonna actually be better to use this generation here as our new master shot, because we're establishing what Kara is wearing from head to toe. So if we want to achieve consistency, this is now going to be the best way to do that. We do have the shot downloaded, but we know that the resolution is not going to be all that great. So I'm going to go to the top left-hand corner of Higgsfield and go to the Topaz High Resolution Upscaler. Simply going to drag and drop in my image, the wide shot of Kara. Just going to leave it on the default Topaz mode and just set it to upscale at a factor of 2. Heading back to the top left, we can go back to create image. And like I say, we now want to put in our new up-resed wide shot. And now we're going to take a look at creating an establishing shot. Once again, do go ahead and take a note of this text prompt if you wanted to use it yourself. And once again, we've got back some really great generations from both tools. Just look at how impressive all of these generations are. These are at a slightly high angle, and we can see that the face of Kara is sort of morphed a little bit, This one is far enough away that you can't really tell, and I really do like the composition here. It looks really nice and sharp too. My personal preference here is going to be to go ahead and get this first Nano Banana generation downloaded. Now, interestingly, Seedream kind of beat us to the punch with this next camera angle, but we're going to be looking at the bird's eye view. And this really emphasizes scale and kind of makes Kara feel a little bit insignificant compared to this kind of vast wilderness surrounding her. Once again, both image generation tools have really outdone themselves. I actually like all of these for different reasons. And of course, wider angle shots like the ones we're exploring now could be used to show an action sequence. Can also just be used to emphasize the scale, how small Kara feels in comparison to this huge, vast white desert landscape that she's found herself in. Now, if I'm going to be hypercritical, the Seedream renders are kind of messing with Kara's face a little bit, even though I do really like the composition, particularly here, her kind of eye's gone a little bit strange, the left eye. This one here is not so bad, but I don't think it feels completely consistent with her as a character. And the second Nano Banana generation as well, I just really like the composition of this and how small Kara looks in this desert. Very cool. And the final shot we're going to be exploring now is a point of view shot, which has a great many uses. We'll set off both of our Nano Banana generations and our Seedream generations with this very simple prompt. And here we go. The point of view shot, for me, it kind of takes us relating to the character to the extreme, to the point where we literally are the character. And for me, it always reminds me of a first-person video game. Makes that connection with the character really intense, where you are literally in their shoes, and it can work really well. I've used it before for one of my short films to actually show the character running, and you can kind of hear them panting, and you really feel like you are in their head as they're experiencing the scene. I really like this one from Seedream here, where we can actually see Kara's legs in the frame as well, just to give a little bit more context to the shot. But really, any of these shots of the landscape are really great and would function really well in a story. Each render is nice and sharp. There's a good level of detail there. But I think we'll grab this one here, as well as the one with the legs in it, because I think that's pretty cool. And so now we've actually generated all of our different camera angles. Before we move on to looking at camera movement, I want to generate an image of Kara running, because when we look at camera moves, I want her to be showing some kind of dynamic action. Can't really illustrate how camera moves help us. If she's just stood still, it's not going to have as much impact. So we're going for just a very simple text prompt here. We're using this shot that we generated through Nano Banana. We're just saying show a full body shot from head to toe of the girl running in profile through the vast white desert environment. Whilst these last images are generated, I really hope you guys have got a feel for the differences between Nano Banana and Seedream 4.0. I think both give really great results. For me personally, I veer a little bit more towards Nano Banana. I think it's a bit more consistent. Some of the face warping stuff that you see in Seedream is pretty nasty. I think if you're able to use the workflow that I'm doing here, where we're doing 2 generations from each tool and just picking our favorites and then going on to upscale the results. And while Seedream does actually output at 1440p, I believe, yeah, it does, it can still feel a little bit soft in places, so do keep that in mind. And here we go, some really great results back once again. The first Seedream result has failed again due to sensitive content. Make it make sense, guys. I don't know what's going on there. It's AI, it is what it is. We've still got some really cool results from both Seedream and Nano Banana. Let's go ahead and get this one downloaded, as well as this one here. Now that I've got back all of my up-resed images, you guys can see that we've really created a lot of very varied camera angles just from that single master shot. Look how much we have fleshed things out by using Nano Banana and Seedream. The results are really impressive. I absolutely love this shot in particular. Another really cool one here, this 2 shot. And I will say that the wide shots, I can tell these are from Seedream, because if we zoom right the way in, you can see the face of Kara. I don't even know what's happened there. Some very strange artifacting happening. that you only really see in Seedream, not seeing that happen with Nano Banana, which is why it's still my personal favorite. But with that, we've fleshed out all of our camera angles. We can now look to animate them. And as promised, I'm going to show you guys a free way to animate your AI videos. We're here in the LM Arena Discord, which I'm going to put a link for down below in the description. What you want to do is go across here to one of these video arenas. I'm usually in Video Arena 1. If you go down to the text box here and type / you can select image to video. And we can go ahead and drop in one of our images we generated of Kara running. And the first camera move we're going to take a look at is a tracking dolly shot. So we can see we've entered the text prompt below. We're going to go ahead and hit return. Now in LM Arena, you do have a daily limit of 5 video generations, but you're going to get all of those for completely free. You'll get back 2 generations for each text prompt you submit. And these will be from randomly selected video models. You can get good models like VO3 and Kling, and some kind of janky models as well. It really is a lucky dip, but it's a great way to get to grips with generative AI if you're new to it. And you can now see we've got back our video generations from the LM Arena Discord. So let's take a look. Generation number 1. Oh, pretty janky, that one. Have we got just as unlucky with number 2? No, okay, this is looking a lot better. Has got a little bit of an animated vibe, but it still gives us a good understanding of that camera movement. You can see at the end that you get this little tag to plug the Discord, but if you do want to use these generations for content, you can just pull this into an editor like CapCut or Premiere Pro, just cut this off the end. Once again, we can go ahead and get this downloaded for completely free. And watching this on loop, you can see it smoothly allows us to convey this movement of Kara running. We feel like we're kind of flowing with the movement itself. We're not at odds with it. It feels very cinematic yet natural to watch and be a part of. What I'm also going to do is go across to Hailuo, which is an AI video generator I actually really rate. I'm not sure why not that many people seem to praise Hailuo, but I've gotten some really great results from it. So we go across to the video tab here on the left hand side. You can see a whole load of stuff that I've generated, and if you guys have been watching me for a while, you'll see that a lot of the generations that make it into my intros actually came from Hailuo. So we can now go ahead and start taking a look at our Hailuo generations, first starting with our tracking dolly shot, this very kind of natural, fluid movement that still feels cinematic, and then moving on to our crane jib shot, where we raise up on this crane rig to show the vastness of the landscape. Really, really cool generation here from Hailuo. Again, very sweeping, cinematic, epic, and dramatic. And it gives us this really great understanding of the landscape and how small Kara is in comparison. Moving on now to our handheld device, kind of shaking, raw camera movement. Now this gives this feeling of chaos, like we're struggling to follow Kara, that she's running so fast, and it has a real kind of documentary style realism to it. I think this type of camera work is particularly handy if you're trying to cover maybe something that's a bit sci-fi or a bit fantasy orientated, because it does kind of make it feel a bit more gritty and realistic. As a viewer, we feel a lot more out of control with what's happening, like we're kind of desperately trying to catch Kara up and work out what she's thinking and feeling. And next we're going to be looking at a focus pull, which Hailuo has done an incredible job of here. You can see that for whatever reason, the shadows are being cast across the white desert landscape, and we start with sharp focus on Kara, and then the focus shifts so that it's now sharp on the landscape itself. We can kind of take in this strange lighting change which is happening before our eyes. It looks really quite realistic. That focus pull's amazing, and the way that her robes are flapping in the wind, yeah, pretty impressive stuff there. And the final shot we're going to look at is a simple static camera shot. Ironic, I guess, because we're talking about camera movement and this has no camera movement, but it serves a pretty important dramatic purpose. A static shot can create a lot of tension, a lot of drama. It can even make things feel a little bit awkward, especially when Kara here is kind of just staring into our soul. In a way, by not having any camera movement whatsoever, it almost feels a little bit awkward. something feels a bit surreal and off. And so even having a static camera can have a very important purpose within your storytelling. And with that, guys, we have reached the end of today's video. I really do hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure to drop any questions down below in the comment section. If my content has helped you out, make sure to whack a like on there for me. Consider subscribing if you're new, and of course, ring that bell notification icon so you never miss any future content. Have a brilliant day, guys, and I will catch you on the next one.